All right, YouTube, what is going on? Chris with Journalist Comments of Pop Culture. Something I have to get off my chest. So this video is going to address an issue related to the last video I did discussing another controversial blog post on GoCollect.com. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And guys, for the viewers that aren't subscribed yet, please take some time to do so. I appreciate all of you. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I'm going to be announcing some really amazing news once we hit that milestone. But let's get into this video, guys. So I was just going over some comments in that last video relating to basically this blogger talking about how the variant market and the second and third and fourth prints and third variant print and all this stuff that's going on right now is wearing out the market and whatnot. And individuals were commenting. And guys, if I bring up your comments here and I may disagree with it, please don't take that as being disrespectful. I appreciate different opinions because guess what? It allows me to come back here and create more content to talk about. So I appreciate all the comments. If everyone was just like, yeah, I agree with you, Chris, I agree with you. Like, what fun is that? You know, it would destroy any new avenues of conversation, right? So basically, there was a comment that discussed how, the idea that collectors that are pulling all this money and spending $400, $500, $600 into some third printing variant is going to somehow hurt the market of these essential key books that may have more of an intrinsic value that's been there for decades when you talk about Silver Age or Bronze Age specifically, and that it can devalue these books because they're taking all their, so to say, eggs in one basket, right? And putting them into these modern schemes, right? Let me break this down. Now, I've talked about how a lot of the modern hyped up variables that are in collecting right now when it comes to whether it's, variants or second printings, whatever the case may be, or resetting the runs and doing a number one and trying to hype up a new number one, or just all this fear of missing out on the new characters and all this stuff, right? There's obviously pros and cons in anything that we do. And the biggest con that I talk about is for collectors not to get burnt out because they have remorse. They don't analyze the risks of the investment. And then after they spend all this money and feel shorted that their investment didn't pay out, then they want to leave the hobby. But that could be for any type of book, right? But that's where I talk about it's like going to a casino. If you go into a casino with $1,000, you better be knowing that you can leave that casino with $0 in your pocket or $3,000 in your pocket. And you have to be content either way. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about how these different niche markets right now are not hurting the other or canceling out the other. And I know I'm just talking right now and you're looking at one boring image on the screen, but I'm going to get into showing you guys some stuff on the screen here in just a second. But we really have to think about it like this. Variants, the variant market, the modern market in general is not destroying the Silver Age market, the Bronze Age market, those solidified key book markets. They're not. And my example to that would be like everyone collects differently, right? And they speak with their purchasing power. Some people are going to want to spend $500 on a modern third print variant. Some people would rather spend $500 on a mid grade Amazing Spider-Man 129 or something like that, or first appearance of Moon Knight, or first appearance of a character that showed up in the Silver or Bronze Age. That's their personal desire of how they want to collect. I'm going to use cars as an example. When you look at cars, and you can use any market, guys, when you look at cars, you can look at like BMWs and Mercedes as your luxury cars, right? Then you can look at like your sports cars or your sedans. And it's like saying, oh, if you want to go buy a sedan, you better not, let everyone start buying sedans so they stop buying luxury cars, or vice versa. There's a market for all of them, right? It's just like, oh, I better not buy soy milk, because if I buy soy milk, then the dairy industry is going to go out of business. No. Just because some people want to buy variants and they're willing to pay the money for variants doesn't mean that people are pulling money out of Silver Age books or Bronze Age books or Copper Age books or whatever it may be, right? And I'm going to prove this to you guys why this is not true, okay? I'm going to prove to you guys while the variant hype, and how long has the variant hype been around for? At least 10 years. And over that last 10 years, it's gotten the market for variants has gotten larger and larger and larger. There's been more money poured into it. There's more what you would call gimmicks around it, like the second and third print variants, right? Or the 1 in 100 or 1 in 500 to create that rarity factor. Those things are increasingly becoming more popular. And this has been happening for at least a decade, right? Okay, so if this means, if the fact that more and more people are putting more and more money into the variant and the modern gimmick market, then that's going to mean that you're going to see trends of your solidified key market dropping. Let me repeat that one more time. If this theory is true, then the simple fact that the modern gimmick market that's continually trending upward, more and more hundreds and thousands of dollars every day are being put into this market. Because that's happening, then that means money is being pulled out of key books from the Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, etc. But guys, that is just not true, and it's just not the case. And I'm going to prove it to you. Now, I'm using Comic Book Realm here, guys. Comic Book Realm isn't the best, especially for fair market value right now, but I'm using it for a reason, and I'm going to show you guys why. Let's look at Amazing Spider-Man. Let's look at a couple Amazing Spider-Man books, okay? We're going to go to Volume 1, and like I said, I'm going to explain why I'm using Comic Book Realm, even though they're not the best. Most of these fair market values are going to be higher now than what you see here. Let's look at Amazing Spider-Man 129, First Appearance of Punisher. Let's look at this book. All right, we're going to bring this up on screen. Like, I believe it's right here, right? Current value. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Let me show you something. Okay? What is this book? You go all the way back to 2008. That's 12 years currently. Look at the trend of this book. It has one negative dip. Barely. What has this book done? It's continued to increase. Look at what it's done over the last 3 years. Since 2017 to 2020, it's almost doubled in value. And this is in a 9.4. These are based on 9.4 grades. So again, we look at the situation. And look, we know darn well that the last 3 years, these modern gimmicks have been exploding. You got Key Collector coming out too, that's been putting a lot of hype on these modern speculation books. Key Collector's been around since 2017. People always talk about how they're, picking out these books like, Batman '89 and hyping them up and all this stuff. It's almost doubled in the last 3 years, guys. So tell me, if money is being pulled out to being put into modern spec gimmick books, then that would mean this book would drop, right? This blue chip book would drop, so to say. And I'm referencing somebody's comments. And again, if you're watching this, whoever commented that, again, I say this respectfully. I'd like to challenge everyone that brings these opinions up. Okay, it's a positive argumentation here to just make points, right? This is my point. Let's look at another book. I mean, let's look at The Death of Gwen Stacy. Look at this book. 2015, $400. Currently, $700. It's going up from 2011, $375 up to $700 over the last 9 years. It's doubled in price. Let's go to a more modern book. Let's go to Amazing Spider-Man 300. Next page. Next page. This is the modern key. You can argue that it's Copper Age, but it's extremely close to modern. Late 80s. Look at this book. Look at this. 450 3 years ago, 375, 2015, 160. Now we got a Venom hype probably of the Venom film, but it doesn't matter what hypes them up. The fact is the money is still in the book. You got one little dip here, one little outlier. The proof is in the pudding. These books are continuing to increase while variants are continuing to increase. Or the modern market, right? I mean, let's look at an even more modern book. The first appearance of Venom, Carnage. Look at that. Look at this. I mean, 10 years ago, it was a $15 book. 9 years ago, it's at $120 and a 9.4. 2019, 100, 90, 60. The money is in these books. The hobby is more healthy than ever before, guys. It's the point that I'm making. Let people that want to drive Mercedes drive Mercedes. Let people that want to drive Ford trucks drive Ford trucks. Let people that want to eat steak eat the steak. And let people that want to eat the seafood eat the seafood. One is not canceling the other out. They're actually complementing each other. They're complementing each other. Here's one reason how they can complement each other, right? Get this. Get this. Somebody speculates on a Venom third printing, buys it for $20. Now it's worth $350, right? They flip that book and take their almost $300 in profit, and then they go buy a Marvel Special Edition 15, right, or 18, first appearance of Shang-Chi, a Bronze Age key, or they go buy Iron Man 55. I don't know if you can get that for $300 at this point, maybe in a lower grade, but you get my point. The fact that there's new money in new books actually can provide more revenue to come into the secondary market for these quote unquote blue chip books. Which, if you are a collector that is an investor that already has invested in these books, these keys, that's going to keep your investment as a sound investment because it's going to keep the value up. I'll repeat it again, guys. The modern gimmick market is not doing anything to hurt other markets in the hobby. They complement them. They are complementing them more than anything. More than anything. You got Miles Morales books shooting through the roof. Kamala Khan books shooting through the roof. Knoll books and Virus books shooting through the roof. Variants, second printings, third printing variants, whatever it may be. But that money is being circulated back into the hobby. And if you look at the numbers, guys, 2019 with $1.21 billion, a record-breaking year in sales. Every avenue of the comic book industry right now is extremely healthy. Even for young readers, the young readers market was one of the largest, had one of the largest increases in revenue last year. And look, I guarantee you a lot of you that are sitting here that are salty about the modern gimmicks. And look, guys, I don't buy into modern gimmicks. I don't buy that crap. I don't. It's not for me. So you ask, why am I defending it? Because I speak fact. Because it's about facts. It's not about what my personal opinion is on these things. I could care less about these second and third printings and variants and all this other stuff. I would never spend that kind of money. I am the person that would go buy a Bronze Age or Silver Age book. It doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and be salty about it, though, and avoid the facts. The fact of the matter is I bet a lot of people that are complaining about this is ruining the hobby, second and third printing variants are ruining the hobby, are the same people that are going to be upset about the fact that LCSs can't keep their doors open. But what are modern gimmicks doing, guys? Modern gimmicks are keeping people in comic book stores on Wednesdays for new comic book days. They are keeping the publishers in business. They are keeping the creators creating, and they're keeping more and more books to publish, to send off to LCS stores, to brick and mortar stores, so they can continue to pay their rent and pay their bills and their overhead and their employees, so they can stay in business. Every aspect of the hobby is extremely healthy right now. Yes, there are negatives and cons and risks and concerns to acknowledge when it comes to the modern market. There are a lot of concerns, and I've always addressed those. But those concerns do not equate to the totality of negativity being detrimental to the comic book industry as a whole. And again, quite honestly, it has the complete opposite effect. So, guys, that's my take. Again, to the end of it, like I said, I took a lot of different comments in for this video, but I took one mainly. So, to that individual, if you're still watching this, I really do. I want you to know I appreciate you. I appreciate your thoughts. I understand where you're coming from, and I just ultimately I disagree with the heart of your argument. I hope you can understand that it's a respectful argument, and I hope that maybe you can take what I've said and try to open your mind to it. And let's continue this discussion, because I do want to continue this discussion with each and every one of you. It is very important. And at the end of the day, I promote everyone to collect what they love. I want everyone to collect how they want to collect and to spend their money how they feel fit spending their money. But I do ask you to make sure that you are spending that money being confident in where you're spending it and how you're spending it, knowing that everything has a risk. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And until next time.